Okay, our first slide is our story. So this year our school is celebrating our 25th anniversary, 25 years. At the moment we've got about 400 students, and they're enrolled across the foundation or prep right through year 12. We're part of a bigger system called Anglish Schools. So there's 16 schools in that system, a lot of them in in Western Australia, and there's 4 schools here in Victoria. So there's ourselves, Cobram Grammar School, Cathedral College Wangaratta, Trinity Anglican College in Albury, and All Saints in Shepparton, which is a new school which you might see if you're heading into Shepparton from time to time. So our vision is pretty basic, but I think pretty good, and that is to offer an infant education, a pretty basic sort of education, founded on good literacy and good numeracy skills, and making sure that most of all, the young people that come to our school finish up being fantastic citizens and great contributors to our community. And if you look at our core values there, integrity, endeavour and community are our anchor points around our core values. So we see those things being really important, and there wouldn't be a day goes past at our school where our young people aren't doing something relative to those core values. So that's really important. While I'm talking about our young people, people sometimes ask me what's the best thing about our school, and I will say our students. They're fantastic. We've got really, really good young people at our school. They're great kids. They get along well with each other. They're really respectful. They love their school, and they're very good to each other. A couple of things around our future and our school. We have changed our direction pretty significantly this last probably 3 years in particular. So there was a time at our school where we probably focused too much on being an academic school and having an academic pathway only. So young people who wanted to go to university, who wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or a school teacher or a nurse, those sorts of professional careers, which are fantastic. Probably that was really a limiting factor for us. And so this last 2 or 3 years we spent a lot of time and a lot of money investing in our education pathways and therefore our career pathways. We've introduced at BCE a subject called vocational major, which if anybody knows, secondary education is replacing the old VCAL, which existed in secondary schools around Victoria. That's been made redundant and replaced by VM. And so now we are looking at being a school, and we are a school that can really offer career pathways and education pathways for all young people, whether or not they want a hands-on applied learning type of career, like being a mechanic or a plumber or a builder or a chef. Any of those sorts of hands-on careers are really accessible because of the adjustments we've made to our curriculum over this last 2 years. And our vocational major, our project ready in year 10, and also our sports academy are really flying at the moment and getting lots of really positive feedback. So it's been good. Down the back of our school, you can see a couple of visuals there. We're building a trade centre. This is about a $3.1 million project, and that complements our intention to really open up our career pathways so that all young people can get a hands-on applied learning experience, leads into the career pathways I've already mentioned, as well as our ongoing focus on academic pathways as well. A couple of other things there. I'm not going to say too much here about the state-of-the-art equipment because personally I actually don't know a lot about it, except that I know that it's state-of-the-art, and I do know that when we planned our trade centre, we did so in consultation with a lot of the local industries, and some of the equipment we're putting into our trade centre, which we opened in June this year, is absolutely cutting edge. It doesn't exist in other schools anywhere in Victoria. And one of the really good things we've got to get our young people familiar with our school is to make sure that we have a planned buddy program. So young people who come to our school, whether they come in foundation or whether they come in year 1, 2, 3 or 4. We have buddy programs with students in the senior school so they feel comfortable, get to know the other students around the place and feel as though they really belong. So that's an important thing that we do across the school as well. I get some questions about our master plan. So as you can see here on these visuals, we are looking at our trade centre. I've already indicated it's in excess of a $3 million project. It's going to be a fantastic facility and that'll be open to our students in term 3 sometime around the end of June. In addition to that, we are looking at building an oval down towards the other end of the school property, which is difficult to see here from Campbell Road because our property really runs east from here. That will be happening in the next 12 or 18 months. And the other really significant element of our master plan is across the end of the rest of this year, we're going to be applying for some state government grant money to replace demandable or portable buildings. So the state government has stuffed up a lot of money to schools around Victoria to replace portable buildings. We think we're absolutely in a really strong position to apply for that grant money, and so over this next 12 months we're hoping to announce some really good exciting news about building some new hard-built classrooms. Hopefully in the vicinity of 6 and potentially 9 new classrooms over this next 18 months, 2 years. The other thing we get asked a lot about is after-school care. So one of the initiatives we put in place commencing in term 3 of this year is we are working with a group called Their Care, and they're a professional group who are going to be coming into our school to offer up after-school care till around about 5:30, 6 o'clock each evening. So we're really looking forward to that. We have had other after-school programs in the past, particularly one at the moment where we've got the Skill Zone who pick up some students at the end of each day and take them over to the stadium and they do games and things like that over there. However, that's been a program where a lot of our young people who mightn't be so sporty but would rather be at school doing some homework and things like that after school, those students haven't been so interested, and so this new company is going to be something which I think we're really, really valuable for us. So looking forward to that company coming on board with us in June, and there'll be lots of information going out about how we access it. It's very, very cheap for users. Virtually next to nothing, and looking forward to that being implemented in our school as well. Thanks, Fiona. Okay, our foundation teacher is a star of our school. Up the back here is Ms. Dakota Cox. Okay, so Dakota is, she's been at our school now, this will be your 4th year? 5th year? 4th year. So Dakota has had a number of teaching roles at our school. This year she's also the leader of teaching and learning. She's been doing some fantastic work in that space, and she's also our foundation classroom teacher. And supporting Fiona, supporting Dakota is Lisa, over here sitting on the floor, which she spends a lot of time in class as well. So Lisa's been a great support in that space as well. And in the back over here somewhere is Mrs. Fiona Clark. So Fiona has been with us for about 4 or 5 years as well. I started at our school as a classroom teacher and is now a head of junior school. And Fiona is an absolute star. So we're really lucky to have Dakota and Fiona as key educators in that foundation class. Thanks, Fiona. Okay, I think that's good.
Yeah.
So the good news now, folks, is that we don't have to listen to me anymore. I'm finished. Okay? Looking forward to the rest of our presentation. Thanks, Fiona.
Thanks, Keith. Okay, as Keith said, my name is Fiona. I'm just going to talk to some of these points here. You can see that we've got the wording inclusive learning environments. Just like society outside of Cobram or anywhere you go, there's lots of different nationalities, there's lots of different faiths. We have a lot here at Cobram and we accept and include all faiths. We are an Anglican faith-based school, but we have a lot of different nationalities and different religions at our school. And I can say that This school has a wonderful culture, a loving culture of kids getting along. It really has. We don't have a lot of problems in our yard, and when we do, we address it quickly and efficiently. Evidence-based teaching, all our lessons now are evidence-based teaching. We follow a protocol where our teaching and learning is top-notch, and the practice is from foundation with Mrs. Cox to grade 1 with myself and grade 3 with our grade 3 teachers. You'll see that the practice is all the same. So we deliver evidence-based teaching and to get the best results for our children and the best outcomes. Values-orientated education is really our RAVE. RAVE is a lesson that we have once a week. It stands for Religious and Values Education. Basically, we follow some of the scripture from the Bible, but it's all about teaching the children how to be good people, how to be kind, how to be generous, how to look after other children who are don't have the same abilities as themselves. So it's all about looking at other people, other children, and learning how to be kind. We have a dedicated learning and welfare support. So Mrs. Rathbone is down at the back of the room. She'll come and have a talk about what education support looks like in the classrooms. And we have buses. So if you live outside of town, we have a private bus travel available to Yarrawonga, Numurkah and Nathaya. And the booklets down the back will tell you how much it will cost. And it depends where you live. So it's once you tell our business manager, or Sharon, who's also down the back, will work out how much a private buses cost. And there's also some details in the booklet down the back around our fees for the year, and they vary depending on what year level your child is in. Here's some photos. You can see the kids are doing hands-on activities. And then we have our transition program. So the transition program is really important from kinders to schools. We have the initial transition programs in term 2 where the whole kinders come and they get to play at Cobram Anglican Grammar, and they get to play on our playground and just get a feel for the school. And then we start in term 4, we run a 5-week transition program where the kids come out and actually experience life in the classroom. So they'll just follow the routine of the classroom. So when they start the following year, they know exactly what's going on, where the toilets are, what it looks like to sit down when the teacher says, okay, everybody sit down, put your hands up, sitting on your bottom, find your chair, open your lunchbox, all those little things that sometimes are a bit of a surprise to young 5 and 6-year-olds when they first start. So if the 5-week transition is very important in that respect. And we also have, it's balanced, I'll just read that bit. For students to familiarise themselves with the school environment, with the teachers, with the aides, and as I said, playing with other children as well. That's really important. You'll notice that we're F to 12. So in junior school, the junior school kids will play down this end, and they don't play with the big kids at all. We do whole school activities where they mix, but on a regular basis, on a daily basis, the junior kids won't mix with the big kids down here. And then we've got Mrs. Rathbone, who'll come and have a talk.
Thank you. So we have been working really hard over the past 3 years on our welfare centre and our learning support centre. So we currently have 13 education aides who work across our school. We are very lucky that we have a full-time learning aide in every foundation class, so it doesn't matter how many numbers we have or what sorts of children present, we have all foundation classes. So that's a really exciting thing for us to have. Having that second pair of hands in the room and a second learning support worker is really useful. We also have an on-site social worker who is available to the children at any time, and then she also runs with one of our other education support workers a play-based therapy program where we work on social skills. So for students who might be struggling with something or having a bit of a rough time home or in the yard, if they need that really in-depth one-to-one or one to 3 or 4 intervention where they just need those skills explicitly taught to them because they just can't quite figure out how to navigate that sex in the social world. We have those sessions weekly and they sort of in and out. We also support families, so we have that opportunity for families to come and bring things to us and help us to support their child depending on what's happening at home. We know that whatever happens at home comes to school, so we really, that strong relationship is really important in the Welfare Centre. We also welcome students of all learning, whether they have an official diagnosis or whether they are just finding some things about school a little bit more challenging or a little bit more difficult, and we work on our intervention programs. Some of those include decodable readers, which for some students needs to go a little bit longer. That can include students with a learning diagnosis or English as a second language, which we have many students, as Fiona mentioned before. We also have a Seasons for Growth program, which is looking at helping students through change, which can be a really difficult thing, and that's a really beautiful social and play-based program that we run. And then we also have our developmental groups that I mentioned before. We also, this year, in our welfare space, we have 2 designated rooms where students who are having a lot of issues with their emotional regulation can come and have that really beautiful decompression space. So it's easy, there's no pressure, it gives them a chance to find themselves, calm down, play a game. We have quite a few students who use it regularly. We have some students who just use it on the odd occasion, and that's for our P-12. So we've got one designated space for the senior school, so it's a little bit less game-filled and a bit more relaxing, and then one that's got lots of games and play-based type programs in it. So we're really lucky here to have as many programs as we do, and I think we really do meet the needs of every individual learner. It's one of those questions people always ask is, well, how would you help my child? Well, I don't know until I get to know them. That's why it's individual, because I'm not going to tell you you're going to do something, because we need to know what your child needs, and then we'll meet your child's needs. There's no point saying this program will work if it's not going to be what your child needs. So I think that's a really important factor to remember. We're here to work with you, and we really pride ourselves on that as well.
Thank you. Again, my name is Dakota. I'm the current foundation teacher. So a typical day in foundation is at the beginning of the year, there's a really strong focus on setting routines and helping students to learn how to be at school and how to work and navigate being in a different group of people. In term 1, the first 5 to 6 Wednesdays approximately are rest days, and it's really important that we have those days, and we're very fortunate to have those because the transition from kinder can be very, very challenging, and once your children are in that, you will realise that it's just a whole new level of tired. It may not be as a physical tiredness, but the mental tiredness of starting school is massive. Our normal day will start always with a literacy block. Then we'll have our first break of the day with recess, then generally a mathematics lesson, and then for the rest of the afternoon is our specialist classes, which include history, geography, science, music, art, PE, library, and our religious and values education. There's the big focus with routines at the start of the year. It really is all about lining up, sitting on the floor, walking over to the toilet sensibly, using scissors, which is a big lesson to learn in foundation, how to use scissors and glue, packing up the activities that we've been playing with. At the start of the year, we do have more play-based opportunities, which really helps with that transition from coming from kinder into formalised schooling. We, at the start of the year, we might have very short activities that might be, a maximum of 20 minutes. And then as the term progresses, we can stretch it out because we've got a little bit more of an attention span, and we're able to just have more focus for longer. So at the moment, the start of term 2, we're just now getting to normal length lessons, which has been really positive to see. The next slide. So So at Cobham AGS, we have a really strong focus on implementing an evidence-based approach to all of our teaching and learning. We use programs and teaching practices that have been developed on how children's brains work to learn best. And this body of research is called the Science of Learning, and within that we use explicit direct instruction while ensuring that students' cognitive load is low enough for them to be able to receive all of that information. In explicit direct instruction, that generally includes a data review, which is going back over previously learned content. It involves hands-on learning opportunities, multisensory learning. There's guided practice with the teacher, with partners, with our beautiful education support staff. We do really lots of repeated exposure to all of the information, and everything is approached in a systematic way. So whenever our students are learning specific lessons, there's a reason why those lessons are being taught in that specific order, and it's because of all of that research that we're using that teaching approach. You can see at the bottom there's a graph, and this is called Ebbinghaus's curve of forgetting. So it's part of this body of research. It's one of these theories in that the amount of time elapsed after first learning something is how quickly you forget it. So when we do our reviews in each lesson from the previously learned content, so say if I introduced a 2-digit addition on Monday, on the next day, on Tuesday, I would introduce it again. I would then Thursday introduce it again. Then the following Monday, we would have another look at it. And what that does is ensure that the students aren't just, oh, we did that last week, we don't have to learn about that again. Students are consistently going over everything that they've learned, and that increases the amount that they're retaining. And I've seen a dramatic improvement in my students from last year and even in this year as well. And I think that's the general consensus around the school, that data review part of our explicit instruction is really positive. The progression of students in foundation is phenomenal. When you have a look, so obviously the dates don't match up. The end one is from one of my students last year, but these first two pictures are the same student from this year. So in week 1, term 1, that was, we traced writing our name, and then I encouraged children to, if they wanted to, give themselves a challenge, copy it underneath, and that was sort of a bit of a benchmark for me to see how students had learned some of the letters and their pencil reading and lots of things. In week 2 this term, we used obviously a sentence starter. There was a bit of support with on the weekend. This student wrote that and was able to copy it, and for the second sentence, she was able to sound out I went to, and then with the Barmer, we tried to help her with the AR and the MAH, and muster, she sounded out the first half of the word, which is really positive, and it showed me that all of that explicit instruction and that going over every sound, how do we write the letters, all of that, it showed me that for this student, it's working. It is then another huge leap through to the end of the year. So that piece of work at the end, that student wrote that completely independently for a task, which when you see from the start how students start at the start of foundation to the end of foundation, it's a huge leap. It's one of the biggest changes you'll see in your kids, and as the teacher, it's the best thing to see. And hopefully you'll be able to see that sort of change with your students as well. The other areas of progression that we see a lot of in foundation is independent toileting, so being able to go over to the toilet, come back on their own, moving around the school, sitting on the floor and independently attempting and starting a task, which when you think about from the start of foundation to the end, it's a fantastic change for students to be able to independently work through tasks. So when we talk about being school ready, these are some of the general questions that we often get. So I've got a few notes on some of these things. So my child can't read or write. Do they need to know these skills before school starts? No, they don't need to know that. School is where we try and teach all of the reading and writing. Often when students are doing a lot of reading and writing, we find ourselves having to reteach how to do it. If you've done some colouring and students have worked on holding a pencil the correct way, sitting and doing an activity for a short amount of time, that's great, because we will build on those skills when they're at school. The next one, I don't think my child will be able to sit still. That is totally okay. They're little people who have been in an unstructured environment of, preschool, kinder, daycare. The progression that we implement is really important in helping guide that not being able to sit still to being able to sit and do tasks. That's what we do when we're here at school. And it's really important to remember when children are in a big group, there is sometimes a bit of a herd mentality. So when the majority of the class are sitting still, lots of the other students, they sort of become the minority in the not sitting still, and generally children will fall into line. My child still has accidents, is that okay? It's totally fine, it's really normal. In the first few weeks of school, the children are taken to the toilet every 30 minutes, and then as the term progresses, we're able to, I purposely add about 10 minutes each week, and by the end of the term, students, I don't need to take the class at all. It gets to a point where I say, right, we're all going to the toilet, and we all get there, and about 2 kids go. And so it's at that point when I realise, right, we don't need to go as a group anymore, and the students are able to take themselves successfully during recess and lunch, and if they have to during class time. At kinder, my child has separation anxiety and I have trouble leaving. It is pretty normal for that to happen. We provide support to students who are struggling. Generally, we like to give special jobs, and children are able to come in the morning and have a nice, warm, welcoming environment, and that helps with that. And it generally subsides over a few weeks once there's been connections formed. My child is turning 5, is that okay? It's really an individual decision. It depends on the student's social and emotional maturity. Some students I've taught, I wouldn't have known that they were only 4, turning 5, and there are other students that I have taught and it's been noticeable. It really depends on their social and emotional readiness and being able to cope with different changes. And generally, you will know, or your kinder will have said something to you. And we can talk to you about that during any transition session if you're having any concerns. What are the expectations of foundation students? The main expectation for the beginning of foundation would be to sit with your child and work on the main sort of executive function skills like blowing their own nose, taking off and putting on their jumper, sitting and eating from a lunchbox, which is a big one. Transitioning from one activity to another, carrying their own belongings and undoing, or unzipping school bags and putting things into a bag. These are just some of the activities that we have around the school. So we have a really strong lunchtime activity focus throughout the school, and some of the excursions and incursions that we've been on include the Heaven and Sarah concert, which is Heaven and Sarah is an educational platform that have videos and songs that complement all of the learning that we do. It's a tiger and I think she must have been a music teacher, a retired music teacher. So there's lots of singing and dancing and lots of fun. We have our 100 Days of Foundation celebration. Last year we were visited by Ditto the Lion with the Bravehearts program and Twisted Science in Echuca. There are other activities that the foundation students can be involved in. School-wide, we have house celebration days that include Harmony Day, Athletics Carnival, we have class buddies, and we're regularly able to go and visit the kitchen in the senior school, which is always really fun. Here are some more of our frequently asked questions. How do you manage the pastoral care of students? There's a really strong pastoral care focus in the junior school. It's generally mainly dealt with the teacher at the teacher level, and the head of junior school and the welfare team can become involved where necessary. We utilise the Bounce Back program school-wide to work on building students' resilience and awareness of emotions. And as the students move through the school, we do have the Seekers for Growth program, which Hayley mentioned earlier, which is a really fabulous program. My child has some challenges, how we help them, which Hayley has covered really well. We have really high quality learning support. Teachers will always make sure that they're differentiating to support your students, or your children, sorry, our students, your children. We openly work with allied health professionals to ensure that students are provided with the support they need. So if any children are engaged with any allied health support, like speech pathologists or occupational therapists, they can come and visit the school and hold their sessions here at the school where necessary. Who can help with the bus or a lunch order? Front office can help with organising any information for catching a bus, and the lunch orders can be organised through the school website and the My School Connect website. What are your average class sizes? At the moment, our F4 classes are around that 20 to 25 in each class, and our 5-6s are in the high 20s. And what does a composite class mean? How do you teach 2 year levels? So a composite class enables teachers to differentiate more freely between the students, and each student will be taught at their need. And in a composite class, it means that any students that need that support, if they're, say, in year 2, they can have the support of the grade 1 work to build on to their year 2 work. If they're in year 1 and they need pushing, they're able to do some of their year 2 level work, if that makes sense. So it provides us a broader scope to be able to teach more efficiently. And what do you cover in religious education, and is it compulsory? Fiona mentioned this before. We have our array of lessons each week, and we also have our fortnightly chapel and regular whole school chapel sessions throughout each term. So there's just some information to come and book a tour. So you're able to meet our head of school, our principal, but either heads of school, and come and see for yourself what an amazing school Cobram Edward Primary School is.